Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are back in the building. We are back in the building for sure. We got a goodie tonight, so stay tuned. Get out your popcorn and let's get ready. Because y'all have entered the world of basketball heads. Welcome to Basketball Heads Live. I am your host, Glenn Pooh Harding. And tonight, we have a very special guest. This basketball head is a New York City legend who made his name on the hardwood and on the streets of New York City. This basketball head is a Hall of Fame inductee at Holy Cross High School and C.W. Post University. This basketball head was a phenomenal athletic scorer who stood at 6'5" and was an All-American at both Holy Cross and C.W. Post. Especially Holy Cross in the late 70s. Man, New York City was on fire back then. Like the fire was just getting lit back then, really. We always had it because we are the Mecca, don't forget. All right? After dominating high school, he received a scholarship to play for the late, great Jim Valvano at the legendary Iona College. But after 2 years, left after averaging 10 points and 7 rebounds because it just didn't work out. So he took off for 3 years from college and worked while taking classes at Brooklyn College. Then he returned to play basketball when he attended C.W. Post after a friend, Greg Shoes Vitrone, who was my coach at Fairleigh Dickinson, and who was the legendary point guard at C.W. Post, gave him the nudge. And in the 1985 season, he set their single season all-time scoring record. And I think he did that twice. We're going to find out more. Well, without further ado, help me welcome to the show, Holy Cross High School and C.W. Post Hall of Fame inductee and New York City legend, Glen. They call him Big Hands. Pause. McMillian.
Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.
Hey, how you doing, legend?
Hey, how you doing, man? And I thank you for the flowers, man. I appreciate that. At my age, you can't get enough of them.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, it's been countless of people come on this show and they talk about you and they give you your flowers, brother. You know, I had people hit me in my DMs like, yo, when you going to get Legend on, man? Like, he was one of those guys. And I said, well, let's make it happen. Got the numbers exchanged, and here we are. You know?
Well, I appreciate that, man. You know, it was good that you reached out, and I've been following your station for a little bit, man, and you've had some good people on, I see.
Nah, and definitely, man. You definitely one of them ones, man. And I'm going to jump right into us, right? Because today, I was talking to a childhood friend of yours, which was my assistant coach, Greg Shoes Vitrone. And, man, he had nothing but great things to say about you, man, from you guys' childhood to you guys linking up back in college, man. Look, I know him as a coach, but I didn't know he was a ball player too. I was like, yo, coach, you went to Christ the King and CW Post and all those things. Like, well, how was Greg back then, man?
Greg was a player, man. He's a little jitterbug, man. He was quick as hell, could shoot the basketball, talked a lot for a little small guy, I've known him since basically I was 12 years old. He played for a school in our parish now right around called St. Sebastian's, and I played for a school called St. Gabriel's, and it was basically back then it was St. Gabriel's, St. Rita's with Tony Bruin, and Sebastian's with Shoes. Those were the three teams in the archdiocese to play, in the Queens area. And so he was a good player, and him and I stayed in touch over the years. And, a lot of times people don't understand, but he did ball, and he was a good ball player, and he could shoot the heck out the rock.
You know right now he's watching, smiling like come over, like yeah, I was doing that thing, man. I was doing that thing back then, But tonight's about you, man. Who introduced you to the game?
That's an easy one, man. It came back to I had an older brother who got into basketball, so my father built a basketball court in the backyard, which became a neighborhood hangout for a lot of the hoopers. And so I played against my brother's friends when I was younger, like going on 9, 10, 11, 12 years old and playing against 16, 17, 18-year-old. That's how I sort of honed my game in that backyard, and then watching the games on the weekends and trying to imitate Connie Hawkins and Julius Erving, trying to do those things. And, it was just growing up, basketball was a thing in Queens. It really was.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, right? Because I think today's player is lacking imagination and creativity, right? Because we kind of wanted to emulate all the things that we saw, right? Watching the game. A lot of these kids, they don't watch basketball. Not even the kids. Some of the guys in the NBA don't watch basketball, which is crazy to me.
No, you got to watch the game. And like I said, my father was instrumental in teaching me the basics, and that's how it started. Learning the basics in the backyard, then starting at St. Gabriel, starting a program there. And then we worked from the ground up, man. People right now marvel at one of the best players the Knicks have had in a while, which is Jason Brunson. What they talk about more than anything else is his footwork. And that's how it started with us. They taught us the footwork of the game, and we built a foundation, and we built our game from there,
Wow, that footwork, and that's really that's the hill, right? That's the foundation. That's the foundation of your body, right? You have to start from there and work up.
Right. Get you the balance and all that other stuff. But that's where it started, man. And it basically, I think that's what misses a lot nowadays. The kids are, they're good players, but they go straight to AAU, things like that. And they don't have the coaching and the things like that for the counseling to basically learn the fundamentals at that level. Everybody wants to be flashy and do this and that, but it starts with the basics.
And I think too, once social media hit and the cameras are out, everybody is performing instead of just playing, right? You had to go against guys in your backyard, the older guys, because that was the ritual for us, right? You had to work hard to make sure you could get on the court and then get to the level where you can stay on the court and then get to that elite point where even if you lose, you'll still get on the court because they'll pick you, right?
Yeah,
so
that's when you knew you came, right? That's when you know you arrived. When if you lost, they said, yeah, we're going to save a spot for you. That's when you know you arrived, That's absolutely true. Yeah.
That's a fact. James T. Jones said, I'm here, Glen Mac. Shout out to James T. Jones in the building. Derek Slaughter said, G-Mac once won a dunk contest at West 4th. One of his dunk was to dunk 3 basketballs. Wow, at the same time. Now I heard about this because Coach Patron, we call him Shoes, he said, how the kids now, when they get behind the one player and he dunks on a lamp line, he said you would just take 2 balls and dunk them at the same time, and that would just intimidate everybody.
Yeah, that was something that honestly was taught to me by a guy who played Holy Cross and ended up going to St. John's named Frank Gilroy. A heck of a player. He was 2 years ahead of me. But he taught me how to dunk them two basketball because he had the hands like I had the hands, and that sort of became my trademark because I sort of perfected it, and then I was able to dunk two basketballs, forwards, backwards, that type thing, and it became something that people always asked me to do. You know.
Wow. What was the New York City basketball scene like at the time when you was coming up as a youngster?
Oh, there was nothing like it, man. I mean, that's when the citywide league was in full effect. They played a lot of games in PS 127 in East Elmhurst. Played out at a park in Jamaica called Montebello. And then the champions from the East Borough played in the playoffs. But you ran across. I was in an era where there was a lot of good players in the city, man. I mean, I was able to follow some great ones like Bernard Wrench was from Queens. He was one of the people don't talk about a lot, but he was the initial one. Him and Greg Coles went to Monte Christi, and the basketball grew up from there. From 127, a guy named Cecil Watkins ran Elmcore, and he
Mm-hmm.
got the team sort of on track, and we sort of built it from there, and we became known throughout the city as good basketball players, and it sort of put Queens on the map in that way. And then you also, I don't want to get no slack because I get in trouble with any of my brothers from Queensbridge is listening out, you know what I'm saying? Because again, that was the rivalry. That was St. Rita's. That was where my boy Red went. Jeannie Waldron, those were the fellas that I grew up with, man. And back then, ball, you had to compete or you didn't play.
And you guys, and especially which we kind of fed off in my era in the '80s, we wanted to smoke. We didn't want to play with the smoke. We wanted to play against the smoke. Like, what was that always the thing back then? You wanted to play against the best players.
You had to, man. You had to prove yourself. And I mean, there was a whole lot of good players in the city. And, we played in so many different tournaments. That's how you ran across brothers. And you had that inner rivalry, Brooklyn against Queens, Riverside against Elmcore. There was all sorts of rivalries. And you wanted to play against the best players. You had no choice because that's how you made your name. The brothers didn't slack away from each other. We looked for each other. We played in tournaments against each other. And, if you didn't do that, then it was something wrong with you because that's, we went all through the city, played at the Ruckers, played it in the Whitney M. Young, played at Brevoort, in Brooklyn, played at West 4th Street, citywide, you played in all sorts of leagues. And that's how you got to know the brothers in the city. And y'all sort of fed off each other because you wanted to outdo each other every time you played.
I'm so glad you brought up Brevoort, man. What was it like playing under the lights, man, out there, man, in front of all those people during the time you guys was playing?
Oh, that was great. I played Brevoort as Biddy. You talking about 12 years old. It was rocking back then. You know what I'm saying? And yeah,
Yes, sir.
yeah, Brevoort that was one of the tough runs in the city, man. You made it at Brevoort, that was the court because it was always packed, and if you did it there, you made a name, and it followed you around the city. And because when I played out there, Tiny Archibald was our coach.
Mm.
So yeah, that was shoot, man. I'd say that probably had to be back in the early '70s, man. You know what I'm saying, like 73, 74.
Wow. Jay Jones in the building. Tell them about your bowling skills. Yo, because I could just imagine you could just take the ball. You didn't have to stick your fingers in the hole, pause, and just throw that bad boy.
Yeah, I've done it like that before too. But no, my pops was an avid bowler, and that was something that him and I did for recreation and sit down and it's funny thing we go bowling, but the whole time we was bowling, we talk ball. That was it. But
Man.
yeah.
So, you go to Holy Cross instead of going to like Power Memorial, Christ the King, or Monte Christi. What drew you to Holy Cross?
And things work out for a reason. When we came up, you had to take what they call the co-ops. You put down four schools, high schools. When you're going, Catholic schools, which ones you wanted. And Monte Christi, matter of fact, what I listed was St. Francis Prep, Monte Christi, and Holy Cross. Ended up going to Holy Cross because they had a basketball camp that I went to during the summers called the America Basketball Camp, and I played there for a few summers. And my older brother went to that camp also. So when it came time for my brother to go to college, he played at Flushing. he wasn't getting all the looks that he was supposed to get. But Mr. O'Mara, who knew my father and knew me, and from going to the camp, he sort of hooked my brother up. Of all people, funny thing was he hooked my brother up with Jim Valvano, who was at that time the coach at Bucknell. You know, now my brother didn't end up going to Bucknell, but that sort of put him on the board, and he ended up going to a school, Division III school, Hofstra, upstate, not Hofstra, Hobart, upstate.
Mm.
And because O'Mara helped my brother get a scholarship to college, my father, who was basically mad controlling my life at that point, which, that's how it was back then. He was like, well, this is where you go. You go there. And it was a good call because I went there with my teammate at the time, Derek Scott, who was another New York City legend, who a lot of people don't never give their props to. But Derek Scott was a big baller, and we went there together and we won city our freshman year together there, and him and I stayed together for them 4 years. And that's basically the story about me going across. It was sort of a payback for O'Mara getting my brother into college.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Salute to Derek Scott. If you out there, brother, you know what I'm saying? Definitely want to give you your flowers, man. For sure. Man, that's incredible, man. Great story too. Now, did you guys play your freshman, you played your freshman year and won the city championship. And, this is one thing I want to say. Because a lot of kids, nowadays feel like, man, if I gotta play JV or freshman, I'm not going there. I want to just go varsity. And when things don't work out, you see a lot of these guys leaving and going to different schools of that nature. What did playing freshman basketball teach you?
And again, it goes back to what we said earlier, what I said earlier in our conversation, which came back to basics. At 14 years old, you ain't as good as you're going to be. I don't care who you are. At 14, as a freshman, you're not going to be as good as you're going to be. You still got a lot of room to improve your game and things like that. And playing freshman ball, that's what helped you with that because you got to play. You didn't have to worrying about getting run and competing and all that. You basically was getting there to learn the system, work on your game, and they were preparing you to play varsity. That was the whole deal about playing freshman JV. Yeah, it was competition, it was good, but the whole idea of that was to develop you so you'd be ready when it came time for you to play varsity. So, it was very competitive. I played freshman year, I played freshman ball, and then sophomore year, I ended up going to varsity. But, it was an experience that I definitely needed, and it was good because winning that chip as a freshman, that's what got it all started at Cross.
No doubt. No doubt. And then I ran across this right here. My guy, salute to my guy, Mr. Eric Short. He does a lot of research. He runs the page, the Brooklyn Basketball History page on Facebook. And hold on for 1 second. Yeah, this is it right here. This article, I don't know if you can see it. It says, busy holiday hoop bill, coach, they had coach from Long Island City, Floyd Banks, and had you from Holy Cross, picture of Willie Sims and Frank Gilroy, right? It said the sophomore. It says tonight's twin bill matches unbeaten Holy Cross, favored to win the Captain School Championship with South Shore and Earl Fuller, the All-American guard. The Knights depend on 6'6" forward Frank Gilroy and 6'5" sophomore Glen McMillan.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That takes me back there. I remember Earl Fuller too. He was a great point guard, short brother, but had plenty game.
Yes.
I remember him another Brooklyn name. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that was way back. I remember that tournament. That gives my man Frank Gilroy. He was bad. A lot of people don't know him, but he got a full ride to St. John's. He was a baller. Yeah, he was a baller. He was one of the few white guys that had rise.
Hey, yo, Frank Gilroy, if you out there, man, listen, we want to give all you guys your flowers, man. You guys stood around. This is the platform for New York. Come on and tell your story. Jay Jones, it says Jay Jones. Derek Scott used to give Vern Fleming hard times, he said. Whoo-wee. Vern Fleming, man, was that God. So that means Derek Scott was the truth.
Well, Derek Scott was definitely the truth. He never got the props that he should have got. He was one of the first 6'3" point guards. He had that type of handle. He could jump. He was a ball player, and that was a rivalry back then and there, man. Every time you couldn't get into a gym when it was Marta Christie against Holy Cross, it was Derek Scott against Vern Fleming, Glen McMillan against Tony Bruin, and then they also had Phil Smith, who was a baller. They had Dwayne Johnson, who happened to be a freshman, was a baller. I mean, those was games right there, man. You definitely had to pop the popcorn for that one because we went at each other like it was no tomorrow.
So back then, you guys' rivalry was Monte Christi and not St. Francis Prep like it is today.
Well, St. Francis Prep was more of a football rivalry, for Cross. I mean, I don't want to slight none of the brothers that went to Prep, but when I was in school, Prep wasn't good.
Yeah,
Prep was not
Derek Cheever said
right,
the same thing. Derek Cheever
right,
said the same thing.
right. Prep wasn't good, man. Mater Christi, well, now St. John's Prep, they were that school back then. Matter of fact, Christ the King wasn't that good when I was in high school. They developed later on. You know what I'm saying? They had a couple of good plays, but they was really never top of the East. It was more like Malloy High School, Holy Cross High School, Mater Christi High School. Those were the schools.
And this is what I tell people. Over time, things change. Things change because when I was coming up, Stepinac wasn't that good, and now Stepinac is a powerhouse, right? So things kind of changed over the years. DeWitt Clinton was a powerhouse at one time. Now it's not a powerhouse. It wasn't a powerhouse in the 80s, right? Because they did all their damage in the 60s and 50s and all that, all the way up to the 70s. But again, things change. Things
Right.
change. So I definitely understand that.
You're right about that. I mean, and it's something changed, good or bad, but Prep was a football school, and as they had some really good football teams. Those were the games when I was in high school. A Prep Holy Cross game was nothing like it.
Man, well, another game I want to talk about, and I want to figure out what year you was. It says, in Holy Cross victory, the Crusaders led 44-39 with 1 minute 19 seconds left. But the Mount scored the net 6 points. Go ahead on Lee Arkea's basket after an assist by Dom Pocky with 11 seconds to play. After Arkea's basket, Holy Cross called timeout and tried to get the ball inside the 6'5" Glen McMillan. So my pass was deflected, but the sophomore picked up the loose ball. Oh, you was a sophomore back then, and scored with 2 seconds remaining. McMillan finished with 8 points and 11 rebounds and 4 blocks against Mount St. Michael's. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I remember that game. If I recall correctly, I believe that game might have been at Iona when we played that. We might have been playing. It was in a Christmas tournament, So yeah, I do remember that game. Back then, like I said, the man was Frank Gilroy. I was there to help him, and we was trying to do something. That was the same year. I don't know if you remember another legend named Larry Petty was like from Power Memorial. He was like the beast of the city, big man. And yeah. So I mean, yeah, I go back. All these games bring back so many memories about, make me think about it. It's funny, I remember these things because now that you bring it up, it's like it was yesterday because I remember exactly what was happening. Matter of fact, after that game, I remember my mother cut out a picture of paper of me diving on the floor for a ball. That was like one of my first pictures ever in the newspaper, man. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Wow, what a big moment as a sophomore, and I'm quite sure right after that, your name started spreading out to the city. Cause once you hit a big shot like that in the game, especially out of college with everybody there and their eyes are on you, things start to move in a different way for you.
Yeah, well, it worked. It worked out for me well, man. I couldn't have picked a better situation to be in, as far as the proper high school to go to. The only thing I think I regret is that when Jim Valvano left Iona, I
Oh,
should have left with him. Yeah,
we gonna get there. We definitely gonna get there because that was something I just found out today. My guy Mike Barnes from Queens, basketball historian, extraordinaire, says Dave Winters was nice for Holy Cross during the late '70s too. Bill Riser was another white cat who could get up for Franklin. He used to about Benjamin Franklin back then during the '70s. Look. He know about them all, man.
Yeah, I remember day one, another high rise dude from played out from Queens. That's another Queens baller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow. Eric Short in the building. Eric, I appreciate you. Thank you, E. Appreciate that, man. Thank you for the articles, man. Always hooking me up. Um, said, he said, who's that? Dave Bell said became a catcher for the Seattle, and for Seattle. Did
Yes,
Dave play
sir.
baseball?
Yes,
Wow.
sir. Dave Valley was a beast. Had the best jump shot in the city, and was an All American catcher. He got drafted like I think it was like the seventh pick in the draft by the Seattle Mariners. His senior year in high school. Yes,
Wow.
sir. Yeah, he works
That's
for Major
crazy.
League. He worked for MLB Network now. He does a lot of stuff for them. Yeah, he was a year ahead of me.
Wow, we gotta get Dave Valley on here, man. That's awesome, man. Two sport from New York is we rarely get that, here in New York. Especially for guys who play one sport and then go on to play another sport professionally. That is.
Right.
Yeah. So Larry Petty with Eddie Morse for Power Memorial and Manhattan. That's true. Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, that was the
Man.
crew back then.
That was ill right there. All right, so now, 1978-79, this all city team. You, Vern Fleming from Monte Cristi, Stu Granger from Nazareth, Chris Logan from Bishop Ford, Tony Red Broom from Monte Cristi, and Glen McMillan from Holy Cross. What was it like when you saw yourself with all these guys making all city, especially back then when it was so tough and so many players?
You're right. That's why it was a really big accomplishment. I was very proud of that. That was my junior year. We had so many good players in the city and even in the league that, yeah, as you can see, you're talking about, matter of fact, Vern was only a sophomore when he made All City that year. Yeah, he was a sophomore, and it was very good because you had so many dominant players. You had Sid Green. I could go through a whole list of ball players in the city that year, and to make All City to be considered one of the top 10 high school players because you had
Right.
five from the public school, five from that. Yeah, it was quite a bit. It was a very big accomplishment for me. I was very proud of that.
Man, hold on for one sec. Hold on. Let me see real quick. Man, hope I could get it. This guy's. All right, cool. Let me see real quick. All right, so, what was it? 19. What was that? 1978. Hold on, let me make sure I got the year right. 78, 79, right? So you had
Right.
guys like Richie Gordon, Sid Green, Billy Goodwin, Nate Sims, Maurice Sanford, Gary Springer, Anthony Brown, Eugene Waldron, Peter Aguilar, Rich Brunson. Man, there's a whole bunch. Nigel Wallace, Vaughn Williams, Bobby Brown, yourself, Derek Hawkins, Kevin Williams. It's a lot of ball players back then, man. Jesus.
Yeah, you're right. It was real competitive back then, man. No question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Those games was really big games. I mean, I'd tell you one of the better games is back in the day. They used to call it the Wheelchair Classic. They
Oh
had
yes,
that had a bunch of ballers in that too, man. You know,
man. Who won the wheelchair classic back then when you played?
Brooklyn, Brooklyn won. Brooklyn
Yeah,
won.
I knew that. I just want to throw that at you real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Nah, that was awesome. It says Mike Barnes. I remember Glen McMillan playing the 1978 wheelchair classic with Red Bruin, Phil Smith. Man, loaded, loaded, loaded. Those games was crazy, man. So, what was your senior year like? Uh, you had a great junior year. What was your senior year like, and how was the recruiting for you back then?
Well, the recruiting was out of this world. I had file cabinet full of letters from colleges that were recruiting me, that wanted me to go there. Well, really they call them letters of interest. As far as being recruited, there's only a few that I sort of went to, that I visited. So that was an experience. My senior year in high school was good. It was fine until a little controversy at the end of it, which I created for myself. Back then, not thinking I could get anything wrong, thinking I was bigger than the game. I
Mm,
ended up cutting the class one day before basketball games. I wanted to go home and check out something, really get with a young lady.
mm,
Back then, I'm in an all boys school. You sometimes your hormones get the best of you. And ended up getting caught cutting school, and just because it was me, it didn't matter. My coach didn't play and suspended me for 2 games. We ended up losing those games, and I think, matter of fact, that's really, I think, what cost me making All City that year. But that sort of set us into a tailspin, because the end of the year, and we lost that game. We lost 2 in a row, and ended up getting upset first year, the city of the playoffs in the city, and that's how I ended my senior year. So that would really didn't end the way that I planned it, because after losing in the finals the year before, I just knew we was going to get a chance to get back in Monte Cristi next year, and things just didn't work out. And I think a lot of that, I take that on my shoulders, because I made a bonehead decision. Of course, older you think about it now, you never think about doing it back then. I'm better. I'm bigger than the game. Even if I get caught, it ain't gonna matter. But my coach wasn't playing that. You ain't no better than the last man on the team. You cut class. There's rules. Sat me out. So that's the way the senior year ended, man. So that was a little bit of a down point to the high school experience.
wow. Lesson learned, right?
Amen. Never did it again.
Accurate toe said Holy Cross scrimmage us, Lawrence High in Nassau County. Seeing Glenn pick up the ball off the floor, one hand, and threw it down. We were like, wow. Mike Flan, what was it? Finger Bomb told us he was a bad man. Mm.
It was known for the hands, man. Like I said, if Julius Erving could do it, or if Dr. J could do it, I wanted to try it.
Could you palm the ball with 2 fingers? I heard that.
Yes, I could. I could palm it with these 2 fingers, or with these 2 fingers. So yeah, I could palm the ball with
Woo!
2 fingers.
Hold on. Hold your hand up to the screen again. Jesus. Pause on that. That is
Yeah.
crazy. Y'all just witnessed greatness right there. That's why they call him Big Hands. He was known for getting that ball like Connie Hawkins, right? Connie Hawkins had big hands too.
Yeah,
Michael
that's what I
Jordan,
said.
Dr. J.
Right, right. Well, Jordan was after me. I patted my game after Julius and Connie.
Mm.
Then Mike Port patted his game after me.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Definitely.
Yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
nah,
Okay.
nah. That was dope. That was dope right there.
Yeah.
So, look, you're recruited by Iona. Who were some of the other schools that you considered? Because we all know Jim Valvano is a great recruiter.
Yeah. Well, it came down to when I was going to college. Derek and I were going to go to Long Beach State. That was the school that he and I decided we were going to go to together. But then it didn't really work out, because they which wasn't fair of them looking at Derek as somebody that not even a throw-in, but it wasn't their priority, and they wasn't going to really treat him the way he deserved to be treated, because he was, again, Derek he was probably All City second or third team, whatever, but Derek Scott was a baller, and he should have been treated as such. So him and I decided not to go there, so he ended up going to South Carolina. I had figured out that I was either going to go to Nevada, Reno, and I looked at St. John's, and I looked at Louisville. But then when Louisville got riding me, that knocked that out the box for me. And St. John's was I wanted to lean to go to St. John's. Coach Conaseca was there, really good guy. But again, with the influence of my father, you know, I decided to go to Iona so I could be there. He was again, like I told you earlier, Havana was instrumental in helping my brother get a scholarship to college. So he was at Iona at the time, and when he came to the house, that sort of sparked the flame, and things worked out better for me up there. I liked it. I had a really good freshman year up there, so I don't regret going there at all.
And you guys played in one of the most memorable games ever by beating Louisville and put Iona on the map because that was huge for the city and huge for the university back then. It says Glen Mack played in Madison Square Garden and he dunked and it almost was blocked by Dow Griffith. Whew.
Yeah, that was I had the only dunk in that game. I'll never forget that. And it was
Against Dr.
it was packed at the
Duncanstein.
garden, packed at the garden. Right. Matter of fact, again, a lot of old heads remember this. They had a Kenny Loggins song called "This Is It" back in the day, and for the NCAA, they had basically Darryl Griffith was the commercial of him dunking 9 different ways. This is it. You know what I'm saying? And Darryl Griffith was a beast. But we had a beast of our own named Jeff Rulin, and
Yep.
Rulin dominated that game, and we upset Louisville. That was the only loss they had that year. All right, we went 29-5. They went 35-1. The only loss they had was to us in the Garden that year. We beat them by 17.
Wow. I heard that too because I had Kev Hamilton on here a couple of weeks ago. And also I had Tom McCowan on here who wrote a book called This is Panther Country, and he talked about Babylon great Glenn Vickers. And Glenn Vickers also, Kev Hamilton, and Jeff Rulin were all on the same team with yourself, correct?
Yeah. Get Vickers and Hamilton was our backcourt, and Hamilton was one of the best shooters I've ever seen. He had a shot that was unbelievable. A matter of fact, I think he had a little short run with the Celtics for a minute. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? But yeah, he was definitely a shooter. And like I said, no one gave us any credit, but that was one of the greatest victories. Sold out Garden, no feeling like it. I know I see the Knicks games now. I'm a big Knicks fan. And I'm one person would tell you when that Garden's rocking for you, it just gives you energy. There's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Man, that is crazy. For sure. Appreciate you, Buttermilk. Appreciate you. Well, I won't consider myself a legend, so I'm not even going to go there. But we do got a Queens legend, a New York City legend in the building, and Glen McMillan, for sure. East Spot says, sorry, we knocked y'all out the following year. Who, East Spot? You got to eat. You got to put up the school and everything. You just can't say that like we automatically know. All right? You got to put up that information. We got people in the chat going crazy, man. So, you guys beat Louisville in the Garden, which was crazy. And what year was that for you? Was that your sophomore year?
No, that was my freshman year. That was my freshman year. Yeah, that was my
Freshman year. So
freshman
all you guys came in together.
Well, bro, when I went in there, no, Hamilton and Vickers were seniors,
Okay.
and Jeff Rulin was a
We'll get him back in a few minutes. Somebody's probably calling him, going off right now. So yeah, we got that straight. He was a freshman, and that backcourt of Glenn Vickers and Kev Hamilton was seniors, it says a lot, man, because they had a combination of young guys and older guys to combat that Louisville punch, man, because Louisville was monsters back then, man. Here we go. We back at it.
Yeah, I'm back. I got you.
Yeah. So, man, that was crazy. Oh, he said LIU knocked y'all out that following year.
LIU. Oh, you talking about? Oh, in college?
Yes, in college.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. LIU there. What was the dude that had a name? Riley Adams, I think was the dude that had in the name. Dude with some hops, and I remember LIU. Yeah. They,
Okay.
but I tell you what, I ain't trying to be funny, but I don't remember losing LIU. I'm gonna have to look that up, man. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah,
You know.
now he a researcher. He gonna get the article now. He gonna get the article now. He says,
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at that one. I remember.
Clarita. He said, Clarita. Yep. Yep. All right, so let's move on, man, because now when you start to coming to your own as a sophomore, you're averaging 10 points, 7 rebounds, and things about to change, right? Things about to
Right.
change. Valvano's starting to get a lot of attention from different colleges and things of that nature, and he decides to leave for NC State. What's going on with you at this moment, and what was your feelings about staying and what you had to take care of for yourself?
I mean, it's so that is like a very sordid time in my life because life is about choices. You choose this, you choose that, and at that particular time, after my freshman year at Iona, I felt that I had established myself at the school. They called it the Big Mac attack. I was very popular on campus. I played more than anybody else off the bench. We had a good recruiting year because we was bringing in Gary Springer and Steve Burt. I mean, you're looking at, all right, now we're going to build on this program. We're going to start moving in a proper direction. That's what, I believed. I worked out really hard that summer, had probably the best summer of my life as far as balling. Played really well. Come the beginning of the next year, the Burgundy and Gold game, we playing each other. I get 40 points in the scrimmage game, my first Burgundy and Gold game. So in my
Mm.
mind, we're gonna do some things this year. I'm looking. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Gary and Steve. We had a kid Jeff Wayne. We had a nice crew. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. And well, I do know what it is. And I don't want to speak ill of the dead. All right, but we had a coach there, Kenny Williamson, who a legend in himself. We started at Riverside, built his way up into college. Good guy. But he was from Riverside, and when Gary and Steve came, he was very partial to them. For some reason, I don't know why they didn't feel like me and Gary could play together, but it was like going to be one or the other. And so Gary, who was a baller, and I'm not going to say I outplayed him because I'd be sitting here telling lies. He was a baller, but there was no reason why him and I shouldn't have played with each other. Would have made the team better, in my opinion, a lot of people's opinion. But they ended up not playing me. I got a lot of DMPs, coaching decisions. So I got very frustrated at Iona, and it ended up leaving there, even before the end of the year. And that was my regret because when Valvano was being spoke to and recruited, because he's, like you said, he made a name for himself taking Iona, because we ended up in the top 20, little small school from New Rochelle, ended up top 20, for the first time ever. He got looks. And when he went to go to North Carolina State, he had promised my dad he was going to be there with me for 4 years. That was one of the questions that we did. And when he took that job in North Carolina State, he asked me whether or not I wanted to go with him. And I had felt, like I said, I made my name at Iona. We had Gary coming in. We had Steve coming in. I was excited for my sophomore year, and it didn't end up working out for me, and it worked out for Valvano because if I'd have went with him to North Carolina State, I'd have got a chip. You know what I'm
Woo!
saying? But that's neither here nor there. That's just the way things worked out. And, Iona was good the next year. But again, Pat Kennedy he was not the coach that I thought he was. He wasn't the coach for me. Again, I'm not going to speak ill of him. That's not, what I'm about. He was a good coach in his own right, but him and I just didn't mesh. And I ended up not playing. And then with my ego the way it was and being in the shape that I was, not playing, my ego got the best of me. I said some things I shouldn't have said, got a little aggressive verbally, things like that, and then ended up walking out on a team.
Wow.
Or really being put off the team, to be quite honest.
Mm. Wow. Eric Wilcox said, the legend Glen McMillan, one of my favorite teammates.
I remember
Eggman, he said.
Kenny Eggman Williamson. That's Eggman. Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, Riverside. He's a Riverside coach. Eggman came up with that. And like I said, I got none against him. Got none against Gary or Steve. They were both ballers. Again, I thought we should all been in there together, and we could have made some noise, but it just didn't work out that way.
Yep. Derek Hawkins says, shout out to one of the first big men I ever seen dominate the game, Glen, a.k.a. The Hands. Derek Hawkins in the building.
I appreciate the flowers.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. So you spent the next few years taking classes out there and working. What were you playing at? And this is when the legend part kicks in, because what you started doing in college, you started doing in tournaments all around the city. Correct?
And that was ended up being not my downfall, but the controversy when I ended up going back to school, because when I left Iona, I got a job, started working. First, I did the Brooklyn College thing. That didn't work out for me. I got a job, met my beautiful wife, ended up having a child, and just started living my life, in that way. That was my mindset at that time, And then what happened is that Shoes saw me playing in a tournament, because I was playing in all sorts of tournaments, just to stay in shape. I had no intention of going back to school. I just loved the game of basketball, and I just happened to be pretty good at it. So I just kept playing to stay in shape, kept playing. I played in all sorts of tournaments, and Shoes saw me playing in a tournament, and he spoke to me about coming back to school. I said, well, yo, man, I've been out of school. I can't go back, this and that. But come to find out, Division II rules were different than Division I, so I was able to go back and play. So I ended up going up there, speaking to the coach. They lit the fire back underneath me again to play ball, so I decided to go back to school. And when I went there my junior year, we had a great year. Met some great guys. Again, shocked the world. My first two games when I went back to college, and it's people I tell them all the time, it's crazy, but when I went back to Post, our first game was against Virginia Union with Charles Oakley. All right. Ended up playing them. They beat us at home. That was our first loss. My second game was against Bridgeport. And at that time, Bridgeport had a 7'7" center named Manute Bowl.
Manute Bowl, that's right.
Right. Yeah, I dunked on his ass. But anyway.
No, I heard about that. Hold on, you ain't got to. The legend is real. I heard about that. Back then, I heard about that.
Yeah, yes, sir. So I mean that was it. Dunked on his ass, and we ended up losing that game though too. Ended up 0-2. But then we went on a roll for the rest of the year, and ended up that year and only lost 2 more games the rest of the year. Got to the final 8 of the NCAA Division II, and ended up losing on a half-court shot.
I heard,
Going to the Final Four, a half-court shot. The ball went through the rim, landed in my hands, and I was like, unbelievable way to end a dream season, because I just knew we were going to the Final Four, man, And then the next year, they found out about me playing all those games while I was out of school. And because I was playing an unsanctioned NCAA tournaments, they ended up suspending me. And they took 5 games of us in the loss column. That year, we ended up being 29-3, and 2 losses. One was to 2 losses really was, one was when I wasn't playing, one was to Virginia Union, and the other was to Syracuse, which was ranked number 1 in the country, and we was only down by 2 points at halftime to then, and ended up losing by about 12. But they were Division I, we were Division II, and but they took them 5 games, and from going 29-3, they ended up taking 5 games, and we was 24-8. And then they ended up not taking us into the NCAA tournaments, and we was definitely the best team in the country that year, because we had another kid from Long Island on our team that year, real good, named Mike Hammond.
Hold on. Now, how can they sanction you if you played during the time when you wasn't playing college basketball? You were just playing tournament ball. I don't understand that.
Well, NCAA rules prohibit you from playing in any tournaments that are not sanctioned by the NCAA.
But were you playing in these games while you was at CW Post?
No. This was the 3 years between Post and Iona.
So hold on. So, but that's corny.
It is corny, and it really wasn't an issue to anybody except for one coach, which was the coach from Adelphi University, and they were sick of us busting him out, and he ended up ratting me out to the NCAA's, and then they started this big investigation. And that's how it ended to happen. It was a coach from Adelphi University that made an issue out of it because it was a loophole. Basically, he saw in the rules, which realistically they shouldn't have been able to get me, but because the way the rule was written, it was an illegal. It was illegal for me to play in any unsanctioned tournament at all. And during that time, I was playing in the Rucker. I was playing in King Towers. I played. I just love playing basketball. So yeah, that ended up biting me, and they took those games from us, and that's how my senior year post ended because we should have won a national championship that year. We definitely should have. We were that good.
Boo, boo. That's so corny. And you already took 3 years off, knowing you was going through what you was going through, but had to stay in shape, and they used that against you. That's corny. That
Yeah,
is
it was
very.
it was
That's corny.
Yeah, one day, man, what I do, I ended up sending you the article. They wrote a big article about that too, because I went to court, got an injunction to play a game, and ended up just taking a violation because I wanted us to make the playoff. I wanted us to get to the NCAA's. That was the goal because we came so close a year before. I just could taste it, and that was like the worst feeling in the world when that happened.
Man, it says you was averaging 21.5 points, 10.3 rebounds a game, while leading post to a 22-6 record. Says you had an awesome slam dunk to end of the regular season with 601 points, breaking the school's single season scoring record of 591,
Yeah,
set
that
by
was my
Burt Platt in 1975. Wow.
that was my junior year. Yep, that was my junior year. That was it. That was the year. We ended up losing on that half court shot. But things happen for a reason. I had to take that in. But like I said, I was so excited to get it done the next year and got robbed. I will never forgive that coach for being a sore loser. He was just sick and tired of losing the way he was losing to us. That's all it was. No other reason for him to tell it. It didn't give him no advantage.
Not at all. Not at all. You want to lose the game on the court.
Right.
That's just what it is. He said Eric Wilcox said Mike Hammond, the scoring machine, and his brother Curtis Smooth Hammond.
Move. Smooth. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Wow, this is crazy. Now I want to ask you your thoughts on players being able to get NIL deals right now and get paid.
That's that, man. I tell you, and it's funny because you said you were talking to Shoes, all right, and as
Yep,
you know, Shoes is my man, and right now Shoes is dealing with NIL. That's his thing. That's his job now. That's what he's doing. He's not really coaching no more. He's working with kids, helping them maximize, the NIL deals, which is good. And I offhandedly asked him. I said, something. I regret the fact that they didn't have it when we played, but when I was coming out of high school, when we was coming out of high school, if there was NIL, I said, how much money you think I could have made? He said, man, you and Tony Bruin would have made 1 million easy. This the way the system is now. You know what I'm
that's a
saying?
fact.
And it's crazy because it happened after the fact, and quiet is kept. You get what you got. I got what I needed to get, my little bit. I'm not gonna dime on nobody. I was okay. I was taken care of. I'll put it to you that way. You know what I'm saying? When I went to Iona, I was taken care of. But it's nothing like these brothers is getting taken care of now. You
Oh
know.
yeah, all that was under the table back then. Trust me, I know. Ralph Sampson said he didn't get the bag; he got the garbage bag.
Yeah. And Ralph is down here with me where I'm living now, man. I'm living in
Wow,
Virginia. Yeah, Ralph is down here with me. I see him from time to time.
nice, nice. So, Glenn, did you play against Pete Edwards at New York Tech during the early '80s?
Yes, sir. I remember Pete. Pete had game. I played, matter of fact, Pete and I played together in a tournament in Astoria Park in Queens, man. He was my point guard. So I remember Pete. Pete had game. He was real smooth, strong, handle, and played D, which is the lost art.
Lost art, right? They used to call him Secret Weapon. I remember.
Right. Yep.
Yep. And
Yeah.
yeah, that was tough, man. That was tough. Now, another question: do you think coaches have an obligation to get their kids into college from the starters to the bench out of high school?
What do you mean get the kids in the? I don't understand the premise of that question. See if coaches are allowed to what?
Get kids into college, or is it the kids' job to get them into college?
Well, honestly, man, it all depends because some kids you don't need to get them into college. All right, they're gonna get looked at just based on sheer talent and what they do. But
Hmm.
as a coach is definitely should help a kid get into college when they have the opportunity because the coach will know more about that and basically the kid's ceiling than the kid knows. You know what I'm saying? Put the kid in a realistic area where this is a school that's fitted for you for your level of ability, whatever. This is what we need to look at. So a coach should assist. Shouldn't be anything more than that. Should assist. It should be between the parents, the coach, and the kid. At that point. But most kids, if they got talent going straight to AAU ball, you ain't got to worry about a coach getting them in. They're going to have a choice of their own.
What are your thoughts on AAU basketball and the sneaker companies being involved and have a lot to do with kids play at these days?
I think AAU basketball, in a lot of ways, has ruined basketball in a lot of ways, man, because again, it goes back to when we started this conversation. A lot of the old heads that you have on here that you speak to, they'll tell you they were in the gym Saturdays and Sundays, whatever, being taught the game. You know what I'm saying? Being taught fundamentals of basketball, and that's what you did. AAU, it's to me, it's more about flash. They wanted kids, the flashy kids, the kids, that do the nice handles and all that. That it's all about flash. It's not about substance, and that's the problem. And a good coach can see the difference between substance and flash, but AAU really has caused kids to try to be something they're not before they're ready. Is the best way I could put it.
Yeah, that's why a lot of these kids they crash and burn by the time they get to college, or if they're really super talented, they get to the NBA. Then the real grind starts, and a lot of them don't stick and stay.
Yeah, it's got to change, but again, you got some good coaches out there. I mean, I right now I coach my grandson's team a little bit, and that's one thing that we work on all the time is fundamentals. I'm teaching fundamentals. I'm teaching footwork, making a layup, right hand, left foot right, left foot right hand. Those are things that are being taught, that kids aren't being taught this nowadays, how to dribble without looking at the ball, things like that. They're not being taught that. How to move without the ball, which is another lost art. So it starts with the basics, and as the basics, then you build your game.
Mike Walker, what up? What up, Mike? Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Yep, for sure. One of the best photographers in the whole city, right there. My guy, Mike Walker. Man, this is great. Appreciate you always coming on the show, my brother, showing support. And that's what you're doing these days because you was talking about you being in the gym from the daytime to the nighttime, teaching these kids. How important that is to you, paying it forward for things that was done for you.
It's everything. Like I said, my father got me started in basketball, and as my son was coming up, I didn't miss a game. I didn't miss a practice. I worked with him. I worked through this team. I coached the basically the county team into AAU basketball tournaments, things like that. I stay involved and try to get back. And right now, I'm a little bit. I can't get around it where I used to anymore because whether you know it or not, I have an amputation on my leg. And so I don't really get around the way I used to. But when I can, I go to my grandson's school and we have like basketball clinics that I'm able to work with the kids there on their basics and things like that. So I'm still trying to get back the best I can.
Uh, I know they appreciate you, brother, and keep pushing, man. Keep pushing.
No
Appreciate you.
question.
Yeah. Um, if you could change one thing about your career, what would it be and why?
It would be not leaving Iona and going to North Carolina State with Jim Valvano.
and it's not for the chip. All right, I don't want you to think it's just about that chip, even though the chip would have been nice. You know what I'm
Yeah, that's,
saying?
that's the icing on the cake.
Right, you know what I'm saying? But it's about that right there changed the direction of my life. It stunted my growth, and I had to start doing any things. I have no regrets because you live your life a certain way, and things come to you because of the way you live your life. So if I live my life in a different way, I might not have the same son that I have, or met the same woman that I did. You know what I'm saying? So things would be different. So I have no regrets in that way. But the only thing I would say that if I had to go back and change at that immediate time would be when Valvano said, Glenn, do you want to come to North Carolina State? Because I promised you and your dad, if I'd have known that I was going to be done the way I was done, I'd have left and, went down there and played my man Derek Wittenberg and Sidney Lowe and my man Jim Valvano, So and I knew both of them guys from high school too. They wanted me to come, but I just thought I had it made it Iona.
No doubt, no doubt. And you had been down there with another New York cat, right? And Charles, right?
Yeah,
Lorenzo Charles.
Lorenzo Charles, yeah. He sure
Yeah,
was. He was down there too.
yeah.
So yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's it.
well, listen, let's have some fun right now and get it to the top five. You ready for your top five?
Sure.
I bet.
Top five. Top five.
All right, legend. Who are the top five guys you played with?
Jeff Rulin, he'd be number one. Uh, Tony Bruin, played with in high school. In high school, another one would be Sid Green. He was a big time baller, and those are also absolutely were friends of mine. And then when I went to college, I tell you, I want to say Gary and Steve, but I can't say I played with them because I sat the bench, But when I went to CW Post, we had a point guard named Juan Griles, and he was the most selfish ball player I ever met in my life. He rather pass and have you score than him score, and he was a freshman that started with us when we went to that game, lost that game. He was really good. And again, I got to give my man Derek Scott his props. Derek Scott was a baller. And Mike Hammonds, don't think I'm leaving you out, brother. I named Ron instead of you because I played with him 2 years and you only one. But
Hey,
Mike
that's
Hammonds was a
right.
good baller too.
And he can't bring you off the bench because it's the top five, not top six. Appreciate
Right
you, though,
there,
Mike Hammond.
there you go.
No, you doubt, no doubt, no doubt. All right, top five guys you played against.
Ralph Sampson, Charles Oakley,
Mm.
Sam Bowie,
Woo.
Isaiah Thomas, Pat Ewing.
Will you play against Pat Ewing and Isaiah Thomas?
Boston Shootout. And
Oh,
when I
let's talk
yeah,
about that. Hold on. We need to talk about that right there because Boston Shootout was legendary.
right. And we played Boston Shootout. I played against them also, and we had I forgot what they called the tournament. They had the big summer tournament we played in too against all the top players. Mark Aguirre, And I'm tell you, you talk about legends. You need to one day, and I tell people this all the time, man. You need to look at the high school class of 1979. All right, and see how many Hall of Famers. I'm not just talking about ballers. I'm talking about Hall of Famers came out that class, man. That was a heck of a class. James Worthy was in that class. Isaiah Thomas was in that class. Uh, Clark Kellogg was in that class. Isaiah Thomas is in that class. All that is '79, man. That was the year I think that had a whole lot of people to come out and did some things, man. I know that was a very intense year. A very, very good class of basketball players. But yeah, those would be my top five I played against.
Now, what was it? Was it the Olympic Festival game that you talking about? The U.S. Olympic Festival game, where you played against all those guys?
No, they had to have a eight.
The Dapper Dan was
No,
the
it
Dapper
was it
Dan.
was Boston Shootout one. No, Dapper Dan was the high school All Star game. Yeah, I played Dapper Dan. That was against Sam Bowie. Sam Bowie was in the Dapper Dan. Sam Bowie busted Ralph Sampson in that game. Never forget that. But
Woo!
yeah, Sam Bowie was a baller. Without bad feet, he would have did some things, man. But his feet betrayed him. But no, they had there was national games they had every summer. Like one summer we played in Arizona. Another summer we played in Provo, Utah. And in another summer we played in Los Angeles. So there was like they moved them every summer. There was summer AAU All-Star games that
Oh,
basically
okay, got you.
the traveling teams went to, and that's where we played against them. Right. That's where we
Got
played
you.
against them. And that's why that's when I competed in all them dunk contests.
How many dunk contests did you win?
I've only lost one, and that was because I missed the dunk. But I've been in probably 4 and won 3 of them. And I tell you, one of them nicest ones I like is they had one at West 4th Street I won. That I still had the trophy in my living room to this day, man. It's a 4.5 foot trophy from West 4th Street winning the dunk contest. Yeah.
Legendary. Boogaloo said, "What's up, Big Mac?" Boogaloo. Yeah.
What up, Boogaloo?
Yeah, everybody got these names online. Sometimes it could be people I know, and they have a different name on here. So salute to you, Boogaloo. Appreciate you. Last one. We're going to get you out of here. Top 5 players in New York City history, according to yourself. According to you, nobody else. Who you think is the top 5 players in New York City history? Yes.
Albert King, legend. Lloyd Daniels.
Whoo! Sweet pea.
Pearl Washington.
Pearl. 2 more.
Ooh. In high school, I know I'm gonna be missing somebody here. Tony Bruin and Sid Green.
And look,
I'm trying to think those are the ones that I played against that I know. But I mean, but you could go way back more, man, because you have so many great ballers in high school in New York, man. In high school, I mean, I couldn't even think about all of them if I had a chance.
listen, but that's why we the Mecca, right? Because so many ball players, and every time I do this top 5, no one has ever picked the same 5 ever. So that's telling you how much talent.
Right, I mean, you think about Stephon Marbury and Sebastian Telfair. I mean, these is legends. Vern Fleming. I mean, you could go on and on and on, brother. You can't go wrong with the 5 you name.
That's right. Everybody put in that work, man, in some way or form. Man, when did you see Lloyd Daniels play?
You're right. Absolutely.
When did you see Lloyd Daniels play?
Well, I seen Sweepy play in high school, man. I seen him play in high school in AAU games, things like that, when I was still living in New York. So I saw him play, and he did some things that was unusual for a brother his size, man. You know what I'm saying? If he had the right motivation, because I was gonna say the right head on the shoulders, but I'm not in that brother's head.
Right.
But if he had the right motivation, he could have been one of those special ones, man. He really could have been one of those special ones, because at his size, the things he was doing was unheard of.
That's right.
That's
right, man. If it's something that you can say to the basketball heads out there, in your final words, what message would you give them? Especially these young players that's coming up. Just something that they can hold on to.
It's always about your elders, man. It's nothing more than that, man. It's all about your elders. Listen to your elders, learn from their mistakes, learn from their wisdom. And a lot of the basketball heads that are out here are old school people like myself, and there's a whole lot of knowledge that's locked up in their head. And if you have if you want to seek knowledge, that's where you got to go, because you're never going to be as good as you're going to get until you get there. So that's what I would say.
And this is one of the reasons why I do this show. So the young players who's coming on my channel and looking for their games and looking for their highlights, they're running to guys like yourself and see, the right thing to do and some of the mistakes you guys made to say, you know what, I don't have to go that route because, I heard it from Glen McMillan or Lloyd Daniels or Ross Strickland or Derek Chivas or whoever that they run into, and they can learn these lessons from and put that in their own bag and use it for themselves.
You're right, and that's how. Because I mean, like I said, I didn't really have a lot of idols as far as I told you. Dr. J, Connie Hawkins was my thing growing up, but more than anything else, it was my father and my older brother. You know, my older brother, I thank him for that. He was getting in the backyard with him and him putting me through the paces and him banging me up against the garage door, making me learn how to stop crying and play basketball against him and his friends. That's where it started. And that's where it all begins, man. And that's again, that comes back to elders, respecting them, and they're gonna bring you along the right way.
You know, Derek Slaughter said Glenn would have went to Europe then in the NBA like others that did, you know, that did like him. Was that options for you back then, going to like Europe and playing, or you didn't think about that?
I mean, it was an option, man, but it wasn't something I wanted to do because at that time, getting out of school, I had my little tryout, in the NBA, didn't make it, got cut by the Nets, and then after that, it was all about my family. I got a beautiful wife. At that time, I got a daughter. I had a daughter, and I wanted to be in their life, and I wanted to be part of that. They were patient enough to allow me to go back to school and stand by me when I went back to school at Ione and I mean went back to school to Post and live my dream. But then after I finished that and couldn't make it to the next level like I had hoped to, at that point it was all about them and I wanted to really do right by them. You know what I'm saying? So I really didn't really look into going overseas. I wanted to be more of a family oriented guy and do it that way. And like I said, I have no regrets because I got beautiful children. I got 3 beautiful children. I got 3 beautiful grandchildren. And I'd be a lovely wife, and I'm not going to complain about my life at all. You know what I'm saying? Things happen for a reason, and I've been blessed.
No doubt. Mike Barnes asks, did you play against Leroy Watkins at Elm Court National Summer Tournament during mid 70s? Leroy Watkins was Cecil Watkins' brother.
I didn't play against him, but I played for him. He coached. Matter of fact, he was a coach at Queens College when I was playing the CW Post, Leroy Watkins.
No
But yeah,
doubt.
he was older than me. Yeah, I remember that. A lot of people need to give Cecil his flowers too, because he brought a lot to basketball into Queens. He was a big influence on that. For people who don't know it, but he was a very big influence on that with
Yeah,
Elmore.
he had a lot to do with Citywide as well.
Yeah, he ran citywide. Matter of fact, for a while he ran referees in the NBA.
Yeah,
That was his job. So yeah, Cecil was the man.
yeah. Jay Jones said, "None but love for you, my brother. None but love."
Goes
And
back to you, Duba.
yes, no doubt, no doubt. Hey, listen, we're gonna get you out of here. Y'all appreciate you for coming on the show. Man, just want to say thank you, man. Thank you for the great memories. Thank you for what you did for New York City. Thank you for inspiring a lot of people out here, man. And keep doing great things and giving back. All right.
Well, thank you, man, and thank you for the memories and you taking the time to talk to me. And I really enjoyed myself, and it was something that I feel privileged to have done.
No doubt, man. Let's give it up to the legend, Glen Big Hands McMillan, New York City legend in the building. Appreciate you, Mac.
All right, man. Thank you, brother.
All right, take care.
All right.
Man, what can I say, man? Another one in the books. Listen, for you young guys out there, for you basketball heads, you never know what life has to offer, right? You want to make sure that you're in the game and that you're playing the game inside of the game. Life is going to throw you curveballs. You just got to be the catcher and have your mitt out there and ready to catch it. Pause. No matter what you go through, enjoy the time that you have on this earth and a sport that we all love to play. Because soon that game will be over and life will begin. And in between those things, we're going to make some mistakes. We're going to make some bad choices. But like the legend says, we got to live with those choices. Because one turn, one switch of history, and things may turn out different. But who knows? Who knows? If you never enter that timeline, you never know how things will turn out. Tonight, I'm glad our timelines have met and we was able to chop it up. And he can hear. And all the people that love him, all the people that showed up tonight in the comments, bringing up those memories. Because even if you can't play no more, you can still replay those games inside your mind and relive those moments. Appreciate you, people. Appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate you. Mike, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, D. Hawkins, and everybody that showed up. Appreciate you, Brian Brent. Appreciate you. Thank you. Listen, share this content. Share this content. Let everybody know we had Glen McMillan, the legend, on the show tonight. We had a great show. Well, I'm about to get out of here. Go get ready for work. Everybody out there, Basketball Heads land, peace. Y'all been watching Basketball Heads. I'm your host, Glenn Pooh Harding, and this is the official home for New York City basketball, baby. We out. One.
Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Yes. You have just stepped into the world of chaos. Where everybody goes hard. Come on. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Or go home. Never back down. You gotta hold your own. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. Go hard. East Coast. Go hard. West Coast. Go hard. Midwest. Go hard. Dirty. Hurry up, everybody. Get online, buy your tickets, cause the game about to start.